What if I told you the booming U.S. economy you keep hearing about is being propped up by a slice of Americans while everyone else is quietly cutting back? Stick with me, and I'll show you what's really happening, why your wallet might feel tighter even as headlines shout all-time highs, and how to position your money for the opportunities this split is creating right now. Here's the setup. A ton of economic stats look amazing on paper: low unemployment, rising incomes, solid spending. But dig deeper and you'll see a split that looks like the letter K. The upper branch, that's higher income households and financially savvy people whose portfolios and paychecks have held up strong. The lower branch, that's middle and lower income Americans who are stretched thin, trading down to cheaper goods and delaying big purchases. That's a K-shaped recovery in real life. You can feel it at the register. A contractor in Phoenix skips the kitchen redo because the home equity loan rate makes him wince. A teacher in Columbus swaps her daily $6 latte for homebrew. Meanwhile, wealthier shoppers keep booking flights, upgrading kitchens, and grabbing concert tickets. So the average look healthy, because one group's spending is masking another group's pulled back. Retailers are basically saying the quiet part out loud. One major home improvement chain has noticed customers postponing big projects, thanks to sticky borrowing costs and nerves about the economy. A big box competitor watched sales sag enough that it had to change its leadership. And the largest discount retailer in the country keeps telling Wall Street that the big trend is trade down. More shoppers are hunting for value, putting more store-brand items in their cart while also warning that prices could drift up again. If you work the floor in retail or run a small shop on Main Street, none of this is shocking. So why do the big macro numbers still scream strength? Because high earners are spending enough to pull all the averages up. Recent credit card data shows the bulk of spending growth is coming from upper income swipe. In plain English, the top slice of the economy is pressing the gas pedal hard enough to offset the bottom slice hitting the brakes. That's how we can have resilient consumer data while so many households feel squeezed. Now, here's where it gets actionable for you. Interest rates are the bridge between the economy that feels bad and the one that looks fine. A lot of companies are praying for cheaper money. The White House has publicly pushed for rate cuts, and the Federal Reserve has hinted it, as watching the job market closely and is open to cutting rates if things cool down. If and when borrowing costs fall, not every corner of the market benefits equally. Some areas pop, others barely yawn. Your edge comes from knowing the difference before the crowd. There are two paths to play this. One is scene play, and one is more hands-on. Path A is the simple one, and honestly, it is best for most people. Buy the American economy, instead of trying to guess which individual stocks will win. You can do that with broad index funds that hold the whole market or the 500 largest U.S. companies. If the U.S. economy grows over the next decade, you ride that wave automatically. No stock picking, no stressing over earnings calls. You just set it, add to it regularly, and repeat. Path B is for the more hands-on investor. This is where you look for where the money is likely to flow as rates shift and that K-shape widens. That means asking smart questions like, if mortgage rates drift down, which businesses tied to housing get a second wind? Home builders, building products, suppliers, or even furniture chains. If consumers keep trading down, do value retailers, dollar chains, and warehouse clubs keep grabbing market share? If financing gets cheaper, do innovation plays like AI infrastructure and software platforms accelerate again? That is what I call hunting the market shift, following where the dollars are actually moving, not where the headlines are yelling. It is the difference between buying what is hot today and owning what becomes obvious 6 months from now. But before we go deeper, a quick reality check. Personal finance is personal. You've got rent or a mortgage, maybe kids, maybe student loans. You need to start with a system so you always have dry powder to invest. An easy rule to follow is 75/15. 10. Live on, at most, 75% of your take-home pay. Automatically invest at least 15%, and save at least 10% for short-term needs and emergencies. If you're young with low overhead, you can even bump that up to something like 50/30. 22. Totally change your future. Create 3 bank accounts. Spend, invest, savant. Automate, transfers every payday. So the good choice happens by default. Now let's zoom into rate cuts in this split economy with concrete examples. First, housing adjacent plays. If 30-year mortgages slide from the 7 South toward the 5 South, buyers who've been stuck on the sidelines can finally re-enter the market. That can nudge new orders, shipments of building products like roofing and drywall, and even transaction services. Next, trade down winners. In a K-shaped world, value stores, off-price apparel, warehouse clubs, and private label food tend to gain more customers. If you've swapped an $18 per pound ribeye for a $6 per pound chicken thigh this year, you've lived this shift. Those dollars are rerouted to companies built for everyday low prices. Then there's what we call secular growth with rate torque. Think about the AI build-out, cloud computing, and leading-edge semiconductors. These are long-term growth stories. Lower interest rates can lift the present value of their future earnings, and lower financing costs can grease the wheels for more data center build-outs. For these companies, rate relief is like jet fuel. Finally, we have recession shelters. If the job market cools and belts tighten, things like utilities, staple foods, and some low-to-kid indulgence is like a $3 chocolate bar, not a $3,000 getaway often hold up better. People still need to keep the lights on and buy toothpaste. So, how do you buy into these themes without living on your brokerage app? Great question. You can stay broad with 2 or 3 funds for your core portfolio, then layer on 1 or 2 tilts that match the themes you believe in. The most important part is to keep your automatic buys rolling, weekly or monthly, no matter what the headlines say. When markets wobble, your dollars scoop up more shares at a lower price. That's how you turn volatility into an ally. For the researchers and tinkerers out there, here's a quick playbook to evaluate a theme. Follow the money. Are revenues and foot traffic shifting into this category? Follow the funding. Are companies in this space expanding because financing improved? And follow the customer. Is the lower branch of the K spending here because it is cheaper? Or is the upper branch spending here because it's a premium product? Risk management in a split economy is key. Don't build a portfolio that requires perfect interest rate timing to work. Make rate moves a bonus, not the whole thesis. Keep your emergency fund in a high-yield savings account so you're not forced to sell stocks at a bad time. And size your tilts sanely. A 10 to 20% tilt toward a theme is a boost. An 80% tilt is a massive bet. Let's ground this with 2 quick scenarios. Maria, a nurse in Cleveland, invests $600 a month. Her core is a broad U.S. market fund and a diversified dividend fund. Her tilt is a small sleeve for value retailers and staple foods to reflect the trade downtrend. Her rule is to buy every 2 weeks, no matter what. Then there's Devin, a software engineer in Austin, who invests $1,200 a month. His core is an S&P 500 fund. His tilts are in AI infrastructure and a housing-adjacent basket. He keeps 6 months of expenses in short-term treasuries, so he never has to sell stocks to cover a flat tire. Here's your 24-hour action list. First, open or label 3 accounts. Spend, invest, and save. Second, automate a transfer to your invest account, on your next paycheck even. $50 counts. Third, choose a simple core holding, like a broad U.S. market fund. Then, add 1 small tilt that matches what you believe the next 12 to 24 months will favor, whether that S-value retailers, housing, AI, or defensives. Set recurring buys, and then walk away. Let the system do the work for you. The bottom line is this. The averages can say everything is fine while your grocery bill says otherwise. That's the K-shape. Don't get angry, get positioned. Build a core that wins if America keeps growing. Add tilts that benefit from potential shifts in the economy, and keep a little protection for the rough patches. If this helped you make sense of the split, tell me in the comments. Which side of the K do you feel you're on right now? And which tilt are you choosing first? Drop your city TI. Love seeing where you're all watching from. Hit like if you learned something. Share this with a friend who keeps asking, why does everything feel so expensive? And subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown. Your money should work as hard as you do. Let's make it happen.